So Team 7 decides to, temporarily at least, pair up with Kabuto, but really the end of this chapter we see that there is another enemy lying in wait. Naruto number 61, The Path You Should Tread.
Well, hello my brothers and sisters and prospective chunin of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed, mind-boggling tale of Naruto. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with really the end of it being Sasuke challenging Kabuto. Kabuto had, of course, run into Team 7, and he has both the Heaven and Earth scrolls, but is trying to locate the rest of his team. So he wound up kind of saving Naruto from going and opening his scroll to peek at it, as he said that, you know, in years past, there was a spell that basically, like a spell of hypnosis, that was placed inside the scroll for any that did decide to break the rules and open it. Anyway, so, and then we also saw, and I didn't mention it in the last chapter, but we saw towards the end of the chapter, someone peeking in, watching this whole thing transpire from the bushes. And I didn't mention it because, honestly, I was thinking that it had to do with that other team, that where the one guy had gotten, went off for food, and the other two had looked at the scroll and been, you know, kind of knocked out or knocked unconscious with the hypnosis spell. And or I was thinking that you know, that maybe it was Kabuto's team, and that he was coming in there. He's very smart, that he was kind of coming in under the guise of friendship, and that maybe it was you know, it was one of his other teammates waiting to ambush them. So for their scroll. Anyways, that's how the chapter left off. That is how the chapter picks up. And immediately everybody's like, I mean, Naruto and Sakura are like, what do you mean, Sasuke? Why do you want to challenge? Just leave him alone, you know? And he's like, no, this is the only way. We're running out of time, and there's no other way. And then Kabuto's like, I like Kabuto, because Kabuto's smart. My boy, he's got his wire rim glasses. It may be his 10th time taking the exam or whatever, but he knows, he's got some knowledge. He's got some information, right? So he goes and lays it down for Sasuke. He said, that's a straight up lie. He said, the only reason you made a big thing of challenging me was it was just a pretentious gesture on your part. If you were fully committed, you would have just blindsided me. That's what ninja do, right? So what he's saying is that Sasuke doesn't really want to fight him. He wanted to go and put that out there, though, and issue the challenge, number one, to go and give him time to prepare for it to be a fair fight, if that's what it came to. But I think number two, to really just kind of put it out there like, hey, we're desperate, dude. I'll fight you. And, you know, and Kabuto then obviously would tell him there's a different way. So he's like, but you know what, let's get out of here. We're probably being watched at this point, or there's probably enemies close by, or maybe animals, bugs, what have you. The smell of your roasting fish over here probably drew people around, and, you know, and then Sasuke's like, there's still people left this late in the competition. He's like, yeah, dude, you know, actually, if you paid a little more attention, you know, you'd know that, right? If you were a little more observant. So they all go taking off through the forest, and then we wind up seeing that character, just kind of his eye, you know, that's in the bushes, or whoever that may be, and he's like, oh, rats, you know, because obviously he's been discovered, or they've taken off, and whatever ambush lay in wait wasn't able to happen. So as they're kind of going and jumping around through the forest, as ninja do, you know, Kabuto winds up explaining. He's like, listen, there's the whole idea here is that there's still plenty of people that probably don't have the other scroll or whatever, but as it's getting into the kind of the 11th hour, so to speak, they're setting snares and traps and things like that closer to the tower. So that's where they're working, closer to the tower, because that's where there's going to be some more activity and some more action, especially coming into this final day of the exam, the second exam. So, and he explains it, and then he's, oh, okay, really? And he says, no, it's only 1/3 of the answer. The other part is that there's, he likes to call them collectors. They're teams that aren't really strong enough to go and take out some of the stronger teams, so they wind up going and stealing and doing a bunch of other, like, underhanded type things to get a hold of not just the scrolls they need, but extra ones. And the reason that they try to have extra ones on them is because if they wind up, you know, being fallen upon by a stronger enemy force, they can try to bargain their way out of it by saying, hey, I got this scroll for you, you know. And basically, these ones can also barter for information from, for instance, they could help somebody else out that's in their village, that's from their village, or they could help somebody out too. Kabuto was pointing out that maybe he's on their second or third try of the exam, and they can barter for information about the next phase of the exam for people that have obviously, you know, they've failed, but they've gotten farther than this in the past, you know. So really kind of ingenious if you think about it. But basically they're bottom feeders, so that's what they refer to them as. You know, they're pretty much like they're just They're pretty much, yeah, they're just the bottom feeders. That's what you would call them, you know? So, and then he said there's the ones that are just straight up looking to hurt others, to kill others, to take their lives. It's less competition going forward, and a lot of it probably is just kind of approving, you know, it's like a whose dick is bigger contest. But that's kind of what I take from, like, that Gaara from the sand, you know, the sand ninjas. It seems like everybody else is pretty chill for the most part. But it seems like Gaara, and it's weird because when Gaara was first introduced, he was the one that came in and basically, you know, told him just to go and back off, right? And with Tamari and Kenkuro, I always forget his name, Kenkuro. Anyway, and he's the one who told him to back off, you know. So, but then we saw a few chapters back, just a couple of chapters ago, of course, Gaara just unleashing and having like this blood rage and just wanting to kill, just to kill, it seemed like. So, anyways, so those are the type of people that they're going to run into. As they work their way towards, and they can see the tower off in the distance. Now they're close, probably within maybe a kilometer of it. I don't know, you know, a mile or two, what have you. And then they go, and Naruto's like, oh yeah, I think I hear an enemy. And he throws a kunai, right? And he winds up going and pinning to a tree. And it gives me the shivers just thinking about the chills. It's a giant centipede, right? It's actually funny because my wife absolutely hates centipedes. And for some reason, a few years ago, it seems like we have a basement, and just, you know, moisture and stuff, I guess, probably gets in there at certain times of the year. And we had some centipedes here and there. Not a lot. You know, I'd find a couple in a month. It would be a big month. But anyway, you know, I had to go and spray and do all these other sort of things to make sure, you know, go around the house and make sure it's checking for piles of damp leaves and things like that, because that's what attracts them, right? And I don't like the little buggers either. They make my skin crawl. But it's funny because I'm the only person in the house that will actually go and kill one. So my wife will literally be like screaming, frozen in fear, because there's a centipede on the floor, you know, that's a couple inches long, a few inches long. And then as she goes and like goes around it or over, I mean, looks at it like as if it's going to jump and latch onto her. Anyway, I don't know why I got off on that little tangent, but nonetheless, centipedes, that's why I kind of shivered, makes my skin crawl, especially this human-sized one. It was pretty big, you know, so we're talking from like the King Kong movie, and not the good King Kong movies of the past, the Peter Jackson King Kong movie that was, well, some thought was a failure, some thought it was a success, but I don't know, about 7-8 years ago it came out, so, and they had huge centipedes, oh, nasty. Anyway, so enough movie references and personal life stories over there. So, you know, Kabuto says, listen, dude, you got to keep quiet and be silent, okay? Silent like the grave from here on out, you know, because we got to, you know, we don't want to let people know we're coming, you know? So anyway, so they go on they go on their journey and they keep going, and we presume it's probably hours later because Sakura's just like, I give up, I can't make it anymore. No matter how much we walk or how much we move, we know the tower doesn't get any closer. Well, then they wind up realizing that that they've just been walking in circles, and that they're victims already of being prey of somebody's illusion, somebody's genjutsu, because they see that the tower is not any closer, and then they wind up coming upon the tree that has the kunai that nailed that Naruto nailed the centipede with, you know. So as this all happens. And whatnot, they're like, okay, we're being watched, you know, and they must just be waiting for us to wear ourselves down, you know. So then Sasuke goes and he's like, well, yeah, that's going to be pretty soon because we got nothing left. Now, I think personally that's a ruse myself because it's a smart thing to say because they know that they're in earshot distance, they're being watched now, and they're trying, I think, draw out the predators. But anyway, at the end of it, at the end of the chapter, I thought it was pretty cool. We wind up getting, all of a sudden, all these dudes crawling out of the trees and whatnot, and I'm assuming that it's somebody that it's just maybe one team using illusions, you know, kind of like a shadow clone jutsu or whatever, because you've got like a double-page spread here, right? Let's try to get that up in the view, and you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 9 guys, you know what I mean? So unless these are just some weird like swamp ninjas, and honestly they look funny too, they've got like these black suits on, and there's like these dots on the suits. It almost reminds me of when they use CGI in movies and they have to go and do motion capture. You know, for a movie, like for instance, in The Hobbit, like Gollum was motion captured. You know, they put a guy, this Andy Serkis, they put him in a black suit like that with all these little, you know, points on him and whatnot that could be picked up, and then they could articulate his movements and actually add the CGI in afterwards. But that's kind of what they look like to me. But I'm assuming that's what it is. And either way, though, the team over here is fairly run down. They've been through quite a bit, and you know are just looking to try to get to the end of this phase of the exam. So very cool chapter, though, very cool, and certainly leaves you hanging. So I got to finish up over here so I can read the next one because the shit is getting really good. My chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts on Kabuto as a character? I find him to be very intelligent, and really the way he was able to kind of talk himself out of that fight with Sasuke by just kind of laying out the facts and being like, dude, you weren't really committed to it to begin with. I appreciate you giving me a fair shake, but here, there's another way, let me tell you, you know? And for him, it's a safety and numbers thing, you know, traveling with Team 7, till he can hopefully happen upon his team, right? But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on Kabuto. I really like the character. Like to know what you think, brothers and sisters. Leave your answer in that comments, or to the question, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next nation.
Remember to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and my other channel as well.